Earth debate live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you will be rejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by Neil, click OK, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yeehaw!
Hello.
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 Is it eggshells? You got into something just before the live show started, which I'm going to reiterate, which was to say that the Netflix argument was put to us in the pre-show about ether, which is the affirming the consequent fallacy that if the Earth is turning, we will see deviation in a gyroscope. We see deviation in a gyroscope, therefore Earth is turning. And then the false dichotomy equivalent. My bad. Go ahead.
Michelson-Morley was attempting to detect linear movement in our orbit.
I was in the middle of explaining what the fallacy was.
Go for it then.
You interrupted me. It's, if the Earth is turning, then we'll see deviation in a gyroscope. We see deviation in a gyroscope, therefore Earth is turning. Now, you can state the contrary, which is if Earth is turning, we'll see deviation, but we don't expect we'll see it. Oh, what do you know? We did, but that's because it's ether. That's the exact same affirming the consequent fallacy. If we have ether, we'll see deviation. We see deviation, therefore ether. Doesn't matter if you substitute the parlor trick for Michelson-Morley. It's still an affirming the consequent fallacy.
Yeah, I'm not even referring to the fallacious nature of it. It's just Michelson-Morley wasn't about the rotation of the Earth about its axis. It was the movement of the Earth in its orbit, which are two very different things. Still, the point you're making about the affirming the consequent is still valid. If we expect to see X, like if Y, then we expect to see X, we see X, therefore Y. It's still fallacious, but you just got the wrong example of it, right? The ring laser gyro or gyroscopes in general should detect our rotation about our axis. It is Michelson-Morley was attempting to detect the sort of extraordinary speed of our orbit doing our big old lap around the sun.
But we don't lap around the sun. That idea that Michelson-Morley's trying to validate, if that were the case, would be an extrapolation mathematically from measurements taken flat and movements of light with respect to a flat plane. So to extrapolate out orbits, obviously you need to measure everything flat in the first instance, which makes a mockery of the entire process. What's with the screen name? Anyway, eggshells are flat. Are they?
Well, until I see verifiable physical evidence of their curvature.
On eggs? I can hold an egg, they're very curvy.
Eggshells.
Even eggshells?
Egg itself is a separate question.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you have proof of their curvature?
On the
Argument
contrary,
from personal experience is fallacious, right?
Well, we measure Earth flat, so the claim of curvature comes from those measurements.
Well, Earth could be flat and eggshells could still be curved or flat. I don't think that would solve it.
No, Earth is.
Yeah, Earth is flat. That's how it's measured. As I say, the derivation of the sphere belief comes from those measurements.
him months ago, but he still doesn't get it. He still thinks that he can get a 90-degree angle on the curve's baseline.
We can
really?
have a
Tell us
whole
more.
conversation about that if you can finish the thought.
What's the thought? 90-degree angle with a curved baseline. That's what you were going to show me.
90-degree angle with a curved baseline it's just not making. You need to like form it into a full thought.
Yes, but that's what you said that you can prove. You can
No, I
show
didn't.
me. You didn't show me.
I
You
think in
didn't
full
say that.
thoughts. That is
I
half
didn't.
a thought.
I don't think you said that.
No, that was about 4 weeks ago when we were talking on 24/7, and I'm still waiting. And now
Well,
we
yeah,
changed.
if you have a full thought, we can help debate or discuss it. But if we're stuck with you having half thoughts about things, I'm not going to be able to do the rest of your thinking for you.
Why would you be
That's an
debating
ad-hom.
anyway? Aren't you both flatties? I don't understand.
No, he thinks that he can get 90-degree angle on the curved baseline. And I said, you cannot do it. So he wants me to go to tangent first before he proves me that he can get a 90-degree from the curved base. That was the whole argument. And he cannot show me 90-degree with a curved baseline. He wants to take me always to the tangent.
You sure it's the same guy?
Like Shells is a glober, but he pretends to be a flat earther sometimes, don't you, Shells?
Yeah,
I'll
I know he
argue
was
with
a
anybody who's demonstrating poor reasoning
Okay, I think what he's
or
asking you
incomplete
about,
thinking.
eggshells, I don't know whether or not you've had this conversation, but I'll just have it so that the audience understand. Yeah, is that if you have a globe disposition, the elevation angle measurements are supposed to be along the ground so they can have ground positions on them. Do you understand that, first of all?
Yep.
So it's a flat baseline with 90-degree below the star to your position. Yeah?
Say again? It's a flat baseline with a star 90 degrees to your position. Is that what you
GP.
said?
I started out by talking about GP positions. That was my opener.
Right.
Yeah, right. So GP position's 90-degree to your position. That's what you're measuring. Right? You understand that? Seem hesitant. You're not just saying yes when it's a stone cold fact. Yes, we're measuring a 90-degree triangle. Yes, we've got an angle to the star and an angle to the 90-degree point below it. And now you seem to be talking through me reiterating that, which I got a silence for. Do you need a yes? Yes, I understand. 90 degrees below the GP to your position. Yes?
The measurement is the word that threw me. A GP is just definitionally where a star is dead overhead.
Yeah, we're measuring
So,
a
yeah,
GP position when we measure an elevation angle. That's what we want. We want its GP. Do you not understand how this works?
We want its GP.
Yes,
No,
the ground
that sounds
position.
wrong.
Yes, that's what we want.
But
So you
we'll
don't
get its
understand this
ground
process. Why am I
position
having this
wrong.
conversation with you? It
Distance to the
seems you don't
GP.
understand this process. So why am I even having this conversation with you? Why am I even talking to you?
Well,
Don't
I think
understand.
you're being a bit generous
Stop.
to yourself
Stop.
calling it a conversation.
Stop. You seem hesitant to agree with things that are facts. Like GP positions when we measure elevation angles. You hesitated. Now you seem to be yammering through me while I reiterate that I don't want to talk to somebody if they don't understand what I'm talking about. If you don't know what we're talking about here, why are we even having this conversation? If you don't understand that GPs are below stars and that's what we're measuring when we take elevation angles, that's what we're going to be using them for. If you don't understand that, you want to bandy words with me, then you don't understand this process. You can't just say yes. Yeah, we've got a 90-degree below the star to our position that we're measuring. If you can't just agree to that, then there's no point having the conversation with you. It's a fairly simple principle of navigation. GPs, 90 degrees to your position when you measure an elevation angle. Now, do you understand that or don't you? Last chance.
It sounds like you don't want a conversation, so I'll just...
I'm
let you
having a
keep ranting.
conversation. I'm asking you if you understand something, and you're telling me I don't know how to have a conversation. Yeah, I do. I'm asking you to confirm.
It sounds like you're
talking straight through the middle, me pointing out that you haven't confirmed something that I've asked you. It seems like you're just dodging the question and now rumpusing me as I reiterate the fact that you can't even bleed an answer. It's a yes or no question. You understand there's a 90-degree to your position at the GP of the star when you measure an elevation angle. It's the fourth time I've asked you.
But it's can I answer?
You stuttering, globe-believing zealot. Why can't you just say yes rather than stuttering?
I want to explain to you my
I
hesitation.
don't need an explanation to a closed question.
Then no, is my answer.
So, no, you don't understand that GPs have got 90 to your position.
That's not what I was saying no to.
Well, that was what I was asking. It seems like you're answering no to a question you haven't been asked then. So you're an unreasonable guy who doesn't communicate well. You don't seem to understand and comprehend questions you've been asked 4 times that are closed. You think they need explanations. Then when you give a negative answer, that's a no. It's to a question potentially that wasn't asked you 4 times. So it seems you're unreasonable, Eggshells. Seems you're an unreasonable person with a globe belief who's now talking to me, pointing out how unreasonable you are. You thought that was your opportunity to open your mouth and talk straight through me, didn't you, Eggshells? Now I'm pointing out how unreasonable you are. I left a protracted silence for you to answer in the affirmative or negative when I asked you a closed question for the 4th time. You didn't answer. Now you seem to be answering while I'm talking. No, Eggshells. It immediately is obvious and apparent to anybody who's listening to this that you are unreasonable. And we know why, don't we? We know why, because you're a globe believer. The guy who had an issue with you, Mogtow, whatever his name is, was pointing out that you had issues with 90s on baselines. Me, I'm asking you a direct, closed question 4 times. You stutter as an answer and then start yammering me for pointing out how unreasonable you are. No, you can't answer because Earth is flat as soon as you concede that. And then what, you think you're going to take your victory through the top of me? I haven't asked you anything. You didn't succeed in answering a closed question, Eggshells. That means you're now excluded from this conversation. I'm not asking you anything. You're not being invited to respond. You failed. 4 attempts isn't a reasonable man having a discussion with me. Doesn't mean I want you to yammer through the top of my conclusions. You've already demonstrated your unreasonable nature. That's the end. You don't seem to understand that. You think I can just ignore a closed question 4 times, answer a different question no, suggest I need to give an explanation to a closed question, and then continue in the discussion. No, Eggshells. Now I just don't want to talk to you. We've immediately established how unreasonable and globe-believing you are. Because you can't concede a fact about measuring star positions on the ground at 90 to your position.
Can I ask you a question?
That you're going to yammer through right now. You've just yammered through it like a zealot, haven't you? Yeah, I'm concluding, zealot. That is to say we have 90 on the ground. That's how it's done. He can't just say yes to that fact. He has to rumpus the crap out of it every time it comes because it undermines his globe faith. Now, he thinks it might undermine his globe faith. Simultaneously, angle measurements to Polaris, the same exact angle measurements with 90 below Polaris, they're what give him his radial value for a sphere Earth. If you interrupt me one more time, Eggshells, I'm going to remove you from this discussion. Nobody asked you anything. Good. Bugger off. Yeah? Run away when I've told you, get lost. Don't talk. Nobody's asking you anything. You had your chance to answer a question. It was pointed out in my MGTOW that you didn't want to answer it 3 weeks ago or however long. I asked you 4 times. What? No. What I'll do now is not answer it and then chant through the fact Earth must be flat for the 90 you won't concede. Immediate failure to concede by a zealot on a globe. That's what we've just had demonstrated. And what did he do as his opener? Pretend to be a flat earther. These people are scum. They're just deceivers.
If anybody thought he was a flat earther when he came in about Mickelson Morley, then you just need to check yourselves. That's a baller all the way through.
Yep. So I said.
My conversation with him 4 weeks ago started when he said he was talking on the 24/7 Discord, and he said latitude and GP of Polaris, and then I told him that's when I stopped him and I told him, so GP to Polaris, so from you to the GP of Polaris is 90 degrees. He said yes. I said how can you take it on the globe? He asked me what is a tangent. I said no, I just want you to tell me what is the 90 degree. And that's where he went. He never answered to me. He keeps telling me, oh, you don't know, you don't answer me what is tangent. I don't want to answer you, blah, 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 blah.
Tangent won't have a GP on it. It was the first thing I told him as my opener. That's why he couldn't answer me. Because I already phrased it such that GPs won't have tangents on them. They won't have, tangents won't have GPs on them. You've got 1 point touching their dingling-dangle-barry Earth below a tangent that they claim. Why? Because they need a flat plane to measure an angle. That's why they're invoking a tangent. Well, it only touches the ground at 1 point if you believe you're on a globe. Ergo, the ground position definitely won't be that single point that you're measuring from, tangential to a plane, with a dangling globe beneath it. It's useless. It doesn't have GPs on it. So when I say, well, GP, yeah, ground position, it's 90 to you, can't get an answer because it doesn't work with a globe. It's ipso facto how it's done on a flat Earth. That's how it's functionally working. And that's where we get our globe belief from. Those angle measurements with 90 to Polaris giving you your radial value. It's a flat Earth that's measured for his belief in a sphere, but when it comes to those measurements he absolutely requires to believe in a sphere, he cannot even admit to them. He'll take us on a merry dance and tell me I need an explanation to a closed question about whether or not we got 90 to our position when we measure GPs. We do. Just not on a globe. What a great opener to the live show. Kudos.
That's what he tried with me, the tangent. Tell me what is tangent. If you don't know what is tangent, you don't know what is geometry. I don't want to talk to you. You're the stupid. Blah, 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 blah. So I keep telling him, show me the curved line 90 degree with a curved line baseline. And he couldn't do it. And that's why he didn't want to talk to me. And next day he invited me to a globe Discord to discuss the...
Oh, of
this.
course! Even at the lower trench levels, the minute they get their ass absolutely handed to them, oh, come on my neutral platform, where it won't be me asking you a closed question and leaving a long protracted silence with you not answering. It'll be 15 people shutting you down and talking over you and making sure that you know how stupid you are for an hour and a half straight.
Same tactics.
And that'll be called a neutral platform, because we're biased.
That's why I didn't want to go to his game, you know. He kept asking me, tell me what is tangent. I said, but tell me what, show me the 90 degree with the curved baseline. I tell you what is tangent. I'm not running away, but show me GP 90 degree with a curved baseline. And then...
Come round the back of the bike sheds where all my mates are, and then we'll show you 90. We'll show you 90 round the back of the bike sheds.
And they talk about anything when measuring the Earth except for the surface of Earth. That's what they do. That's what they have to do.
Yeah.
Because when it's measured flat and horizontal, and they haven't got that in their paradigm. Theirs is curved, and
so they'll invite you somewhere else. Sorry, an invite to a different server isn't going to help you when you're asked about 90 to your position. Shh, Globus. Don't mention 90.
Would the GP vertical of a point at the North Pole and a point at the equator be parallel?
Say that again.
Yes. Both verticals will be parallel. Verticals are vertical.
No. But would a vertical...
It seems like he's in the middle of answering you. And in the middle of his answer, he's got no through the top of his answer. Would this be best served, this question, would it be best served if your question was answered on a neutral platform where the answer didn't come at all? Would that be easier? He's answering you. Shut your mouth, globe-believing zealot, clearly, immediately identifying what you are. Right? Correct? That's a closed question, correct? Yeah, so you've immediately chanted through the answer you asked for, because it's painful. So it's easier to ask the question and then leave it hanging out there with no one answering it. Alternatively, you'll chant through it. Just remove this asshole. Remove him. Just remove him.
I interrupted.
Just remove him. No, you can't interrupt. Don't you understand? Brian was in the middle of answering, you dumbass. And now you are again talking through me telling you off. Yeah, he's going to get his chance to answer you. That doesn't mean, oh no, this painful answer destroys the globe, therefore I better start talking through it. Yeah, that's what you need your neutral platforms for, zealot. So when Brian starts delivering an answer, 5 people can start talking straight through it. On a neutral platform that absolutely won't leave anybody getting any flat earth questions delivered to them in their full entirety. No, on a neutral platform, that would be tolerated, wouldn't it? Illness. No, you'll get the answer to your question. You'll shut your bleeding mouth while you get it. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you, Nathan. Yes, a vertical, as you said, at the North Pole and a vertical at the equator will be parallel to each other. because all verticals and all horizontals are parallel to each other. And all verticals create horizontal. All the horizontal creates vertical. Because 90 degrees to a horizontal is always a vertical. 90 degrees to a vertical is always horizontal. You can't have one vertical not be parallel to another vertical. Now, maybe you wanted to change your question to zenith, as if that's going to change anything. It's not. There is no globe. The measurements are flat. That's the end of that. Thanks, Nathan.
So that didn't answer the question. Would the vertical at the North Pole and the vertical at the equator be relatively parallel, and can you prove that?
They'd be parallel. They'd be exactly parallel because all verticals are parallel to each other.
No,
Parallel
they're not. They're not.
That's what parallel
Yes, they are.
means.
You don't understand what the word vertical. You don't understand geometry. I don't think
Vertical is not synonymous
You don't know
to
what you're talking about.
parallel.
Obviously, you obviously don't know what you're talking about.
Relatively vertical. If
Got your
There is no
something
relatively
somehow.
Got your
vertical.
answer, yes.
There's only vertical or not vertical.
Yeah, you got your answer.
There isn't,
The answer's
though.
yes, they're both parallel.
Yes,
with
there
one
is.
another.
Something is either vertical or it's not.
Can you prove that they are parallel, like
Are
physically?
you saying all verticals as an axiom are parallel to every other vertical? All verticals are 90 degrees to horizontal. Right? So that means both those verticals will be 90 degrees to the same horizontal.
All right, if you took
Do
the
you know the
hour hand of a
definition?
clock.
He's asked
No,
you something. He's
no,
put something to
no.
you. He suggested you don't know the definition of vertical at right angles to a horizontal plane. That's what it means.
It doesn't have to be a right angle.
That's the definition, you stupid globe-believing zealot. Doesn't have to be. What doesn't have to be the definition? It's the definition, you stupid man.
Let me see.
So you're going to ask me to prove an axiom? Go out and prove this axiom that meets the definition that I'm challenging. Yeah, your question is basically a defiance of the definition, mate. Idiotic. Do you understand? You're asking us to prove that we haven't got a violation of an axiomatic principle. That's what you're asking for. Wow, idiotic. Typical globe believer. Obviously, he felt, while he asked us whether or not we could prove we have axiomatic principles or not, he thought it was worthy of
You're
chanting through what he got in reply,
heuristic.
and feels it's worthy to open his bleeding mouth now, while I'm pointing out how stupid he is. You think that's your time to talk? Not in one of the protracted silences. No. While he's being demonstrably demonstrated as stupid. Yeah, you are idiotic. You're asking us whether or not your idea of a violation of an axiomatic principle can be proven as an axiomatic principle by us. How stupid that is.
I'm saying, in a hypothetical situation.
We're not in a hypothetical situation. We've got definitions of vertical, you stupid man. At right angles to a horizontal plane. This isn't a hypothetical. It's a definition, you stupid man.
I'm making a hypothesis.
Oh, really?
You're not making a
Dumb
hypothesis.
globe believer thinks he's making a hypothesis.
So
No, you're
hear me
not.
out.
You wouldn't know what the word meant. You don't know what vertical meant. Chances of you knowing what a hypothesis is absolutely zero.
He's just exposing himself. Let him go.
So, in the hypothetical situation that there was a ball
Don't care.
and the North
Don't
Pole,
care.
you
We
don't
are
care
dealing
because
with
you know
physics
where
and
this
reality.
question is
Shut your
going.
mouth. We're not dealing with hypothetical scenarios here. We deal with physics and the nature of reality, not ballers and their stupid hypothetical scenarios. I'm not interested. Go to some Imagination Land forum where you can imagine hypothetical scenarios and argue about them. We deal with physics
Do you not
here.
want to go through
Shut up! You're being told to stop based on your inability to read the room. You're in a physics forum, not an imagination forum.
Physics forum.
Nathan, his first question was, would a vertical at the North Pole be parallel to a vertical at the equator? Now, they are two geographical positions, right?
I didn't say
The equator
vertical.
and the North Pole. Excuse me, I thought
asking.
Nathan.
Shut your...
There are
Can
two-
someone serve him,
excuse
this
me,
complete arsehole
excuse me,
who's
yeah,
decided that
this
he's going
guy
to
doesn't-
destroy what Brian is saying? Because obviously it's his turn to talk through the top of Brian with his stupid
He's
questions.
mischaracterizing
Shut
what
up.
I said.
That means shut up. It doesn't mean chant through me telling you to shut up. It means shut up.
Yeah. He spoke about, he said, if we had a vertical at the North Pole and another vertical at the equator, would they be parallel? Then he tried to change history by changing that around to a relative vertical, whatever the hell that is. He'd have to cite that one. And then it was for us to prove whether these two verticals could be parallel, right, to each other, even though it's an axiom of geometry. Now he wants to move into some hypothetical situation. It's like he started off asking us about reality, then he realised he had nowhere to go with that, and then he wants to bring us into some heap of nonsense fantasy world that he has absolutely zero validity for. And we're the
conjecture.
Excuse me, what was that? Yeah, see, he said something. Then when he's asked what was it, he doesn't say anything. This is the usual stuff with them.
I said conjecture.
Now it's okay. Now it's cause audio issues. That's what we're at now.
Yeah, so based on the question, yeah, we do have vertical lines that you could drop a plumb from at both the equator and at the North Pole, and based on the axiomatic principle, they absolutely would be parallel with one another. It's an axiomatic principle. Also, further to that, the measurements of Polaris for latitude prove the fact. You have to have a zenith position to measure when you're taking latitude measurements off a flat Earth. Those are facts.
Parallel zeniths are used all the time in aerospace, surveying, celestial navigation. Right? Zeniths are always vertical, they're always 90 degrees to horizontal, to the same horizontal plane, and they're used as parallel, because that's what two verticals are, always parallel to each other, and any two horizontals are parallel to each other. He's asking us to prove that those verticals are parallel to each other. The ones that they're using, like for, let's just say, coming into land in an airplane, or for the determination of elevation in surveying, or for the measurement of an elevation angle in celestial navigation, that we're supposed to prove that they're vertical. The only way for us to prove they were vertical would be the horizontal baseline that's connecting the two of them to not be horizontal and to be an arc length. Now, can you do? Do you think you could do that, Nathan? Could you prove horizontals are arc lengths and not horizontals?
Not.
Could you? Yeah.
Oh, wasn't that fun?
So
The first guy as well, this
hypothetically,
guy eggshells. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, he doesn't listen to me.
Sorry.
When I literally told him two and a half minutes ago, I don't want to care. We're in a physics forum. We're dealing with physics, the physical reality.
so let's do some physics.
He's not listening. Doesn't care. Going to plow on anyway.
So hypothetically,
No,
okay,
no, not okay.
why not?
Because we
Why
deal
not?
with. It's like he's deaf, dumb, and stupid. I've already explained
Go
to
on,
you
why not?
3 times, and now you're talking through me going, why not, while
Well,
I
it's not
explain that
your
I've already
freaking
told you 3
show.
times. Neil's been triggered to do the same thing, of course. Because we're in a physics forum. We deal with physics and reality. Physics. The
So let's do that.
study of the... There's him yammering again through the answer he's getting. That he's already had 4 times. This is the 4th.
Just keep saying
physics,
nothing,
there's the
though.
5th attempt
You
with
just
him talking
keep
straight to the
saying
top of it.
nothing.
There's him talking, because obviously
We'd
him
like to
asking a
have the
direct question
discussion,
that
but you
he's had
just
the
keep
answer
saying
to 4
nothing.
times
Doesn't matter.
requires a couple of people talking straight through the middle of the actual answer. On a neutral globe forum, this would be perfectly acceptable. Maybe the host would step in to say that there's been chaos that I've caused. No, I'm answering you. It's the same answer you had for 3 times. No, 4 previously. No, 5 previously that you've interrupted the last 3 in the last 30 seconds. Why won't I accept a hypothetical? Because we deal with reality, not hypothetical
Science
scenario. There's the 6th attempt.
hypotheticals.
6th attempt to say it.
You
with a
said it
zealot,
earlier. You
globally,
literally
with
said it at the beginning of the
6th
show.
attempt with a
Science
zealot
starts with
chanting through me.
hypotheticals.
No, you're no longer
You
taking part in this
literally said it.
discussion. Can one of the server moderators permanently remove this person from the discussion? Just take him off the line. I don't
Oh,
want
you're
to hear
such a
him ever
pussy,
again.
man.
One of the server moderators remove this
Bye-bye.
person that is still literally,
Bye-bye.
in me appealing for him to be removed, deciding that the best way to deal with that is to continue the behaviour he's being removed for. No, you are intolerable, like every single globe believer we ever have come to us. They simply don't want the answer. We give him the first time, the first rendition of why I won't accept a hypothetical, because we're a physics forum. After the 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th rendition, what are we getting? We're getting him chanting through the justification for stopping him, because if he does that, in his mind, it won't have come and he can carry on giving his hypothetical. Yeah? Because he hasn't heard it, therefore it wasn't delivered to him 8 times. These people are unreasonable. We're dealing with unreasonable people. Yeah? Now, these unreasonable pricks who instantly lose in our presence want to put themselves in a scenario where they have control of the mic 100% of the time, and any attempt to obfuscate a reasonable response to them can be shut down in an instant with justification from any quote-unquote moderation team that will shut me down trying to give my answer. That's what they need to have a perceived win, because they can't win. That's the only way to get a perceived win. It's to chant through anything that comes back at them. Anything, literally. Literally, we haven't had a single response today. We've been on air for over half an hour, and not one response from a Globe questioner has been tolerated. Not one!
What was funny, the first guy down, Nathan, this guy Eggshells, and he asking you, how would you prove that eggshells are curved? It's like, that was like, what he was trying to say there is, they produce a load of evidence of curvature for us, and we ask them for the evidence of curvature that we supposedly have, denied their evidence. There is no curvature. You can't have evidence for something that isn't there. That guy was trying to insinuate, like, in some kind of a smart ass way that, we deny the evidence for curvature. There is none. There is none. It's been almost a decade. No evidence. Sorry.
I thought it was too big.
Yeah.
Too big to measure the curvature? What's wrong with you guys? Maybe you guys should debate each other. Like the guys who think it's too big to measure curvature and the guys who think it's curved. Maybe you guys should debate each other first before checking us out.
To Flat Out Truth, he said, Eggshell's argument was thin like one. Thank you for the super chat.
Anyway, good morning.
Morning. Clever buggers, that's what we've got. So this is what we deal with in 2024 when it actually comes to people who come and present their globe arguments to us. What are they actually doing? Are they pretending to be flat earthers to get some sort of tactical advantage? I mean, does that strike you like the behaviour of somebody that's actually got a coherent argument to make? Oh, I know, I'll go in and pretend to be a glober. I don't need to do that. One deck, can you mute, please? I had to server mute you. Thanks.
Yeah, what is it with this trend that seems to be going on now? It was going on in the past, but not to the degree it's going on now, where globers are turning up trying to pretend to be flat earthers. Where do they think that's going to get them?
And they show their hand right away. He came in talking about Michelson-Morley and the Earth's orbit. That don't sound like a flat earther to me.
All you have to do is bring up Lake Pontchartrain and how flat it is, and they'll be exposed immediately. Something like that, something that they're instantly triggered by. And they are triggered so easy. So easy. Just one word or one sentence, and they're outed immediately.
90.
Like, people sorry?
Like 90.
Yeah, like 90 degrees. Although not as much, because they're all... See, this is another thing I wanted to say, but I couldn't talk. And you got into it with the guy anyway, so I didn't want to get involved. They want to have an argument about how you can have 90 degrees to a curved surface with a tangent. See, as long as you're arguing with that with them, you're technically moving away from the actual argument. which is the surface of Earth. Because they're going into a geometric argument that you could solve on GeoGebra, right? But we're talking about Earth itself and the surface of it and the use of that surface and what that surface has to be for us to do what we do. Or well, not what we do, but what celestial navigation do and others. So that's where they'd rather have an argument about how you can geometrically get using a tangent plane, blah, 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 moving it away, just like this guy with his hypothetical fantasy, moving it away from reality. That's all they want to do. Let's bring it back to the actual surface, the real physical, tangible surface, right? Where's your curve? There. How are we using that as a horizontal baseline? If it's a curved surface, how are we doing that?
It isn't. That's why I immediately ask him about GPs, because it's clue is in the title, ground position. It's on the end of the line that you're measuring, which they call a tangent. Well, if it's a ground position, it's got to be on the ground. It's not going to be on your tangent in space. As soon as you point that out to them, they're screwed. They haven't got anywhere to go. They won't then concede to 90, because if you haven't got them to concede that off the bat, they'll say, oh yeah, you can have 90 to my tangent.
What they want to do is place a tangent at the observer's position and a tangent at the GP position and create two 90-degree angles there, right, that they can't call horizontal. They'll try and call them horizontal and vertical, even though those claimed horizontals and verticals won't be parallel to each other, so they're not horizontal and vertical. You have a sphere, you can't have that. But they'll try and give you the impression that they're going along with you, but they're just creating two tangents. That's all they're doing. And between those two tangents, those 2 points, the tangents are touching, there's a big arc length of curvature. That's what they do when you try to bring up that. So it's the full distance between the observer and that GP point. That's the thing. So what about that distance? How do we know what we're measuring? Because that's what they want to do. Now, they won't get away with it with you so easy, but that's what they're trying to do with everyone else. They try and gradually bring in tangents. Not that, you know what I mean?
It's like I said,
yeah, but isn't tangent begging the question?
Yes.
It is, but they won't say it even. They won't be even saying that at the start.
They're not going to say tangent to a globe, I'm assuming, by way of begging the question. But yes, Neil, absolutely. Tangent, so we're taking a straight line that we assume is our baseline for this angle. Yes. But that's tangent to a ball you assume dangling below that line that we're using in the angle measurement. Yes. Why? It's not part of the angle measurement. Why would we assume that there's a single point that won't give us a line for an angle with a line that is the angle tangent to a ball that isn't the ground that we're actually measuring? Why would we do that? Well, the answer is we don't. We just measure an angle with respect to the surface. That's your baseline. That's what's actually done. There is no globe involved. If they want to claim that that surface that you're actually measuring is somehow tangent to a ball dangling beneath, well, then we're not using the ball dangling beneath. You're just assuming it. What we are using is a claim to be tangent line, but that won't have ground positions on it, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
That's why they're doing everything except for measuring curvature.
Yeah. Right, do this by measuring curve then. No, we'll take a tangent to space that's flat. So you're going to measure something flat. Why not just measure your curve for part of this process? Oh, we wouldn't do that. We'd assume it's dangling beneath a flat plane that we're actually measuring for 90.
But that's what caused John Refracted to become a flat earther. Of course, when he realized there was no measurement, game over.
Mick, can you go on mute if you're not?
Yeah,
talking?
that was my position with Eggshell when I was. When he was talking with somebody, and he was telling him about latitude and GP of the Polaris and latitude 90 degree. And when he said the 90 degree, and that's when I went into the conversation. I said, so 90 degrees, two straight lines. He said, no, it can be curved. And that's why he wanted to always take me to the tangent. And I said, no, I don't want to go to the tangent. Show me that you are taking 90 degrees on the curved baseline. And he couldn't show me. He said, oh, you don't understand the geometry because you don't know what is tangent. I said, I didn't say I don't know tangent, but I don't want to go there. I don't want to play your game. But you said that you can show me the 90 degrees on the globe. And I told him even after that, you can put a tangent or you can take an angle to the curved line, but not from the curved line. You put a tangent, but not from it to it. But this
Spot
was
on.
the next day after so many hours of talking to him, and he was always, I don't know, they trying to just deceive. They think that we are stupid or something. I don't know.
No, what's happened is it's not that they're trying to deceive. They've accepted that explanation, flawed though it is. And when they put it to you and you overcome it, that's when they need to rump us, because it's challenging their own integrity. Because they've accepted that as a decent explanation for how a globe would work. When you point out no 90, it's better that that isn't heard, chanted through, you don't understand. It's just projection. They've accepted that as a decent explanation. Pointing out as wrong just means you're wrong. They couldn't be wrong because they've accepted it. That's the explanation that keeps them with their ball faith. How could it be wrong? Earth is obviously a ball, and when I state this and you challenge it, that's not fair. I'm going to chant through you. I'm going to interrupt this. That's their attitude. It's just projection.
Exactly. It's like they show what they are. It's like they're not honest. They just want to attack you.
Yeah, we're measuring from the surface. They want tangency to a ball, they assume. When you highlighted the from and to, it's immediately that tells me, Mig, that you know exactly what you're talking about in this argument.
What they do is they pre-assume.
One deck, then Brian, although Brian did get in first. Go on, one deck.
No, it's nothing major. I'm just saying it's you had to kick them out, but it does just highlight. I mean, if they was able to talk a bit more, even though there was rumpusing, it does highlight to the audience this is what they're saying. It's exposing them basically. I just laugh when I listen to them now. It's just pathetic what they're coming out with.
They have this pre-assumption that we know it's a globe because this is actually what is given to people as globe evidence. Oh, we know it's a globe, right? Now, that's the very thing that was challenged back in 2014, actually. It was the very thing that was challenged, and for many times before that. But just in recent times, that was the very thing that was challenged, and no evidence was produced. But these people have this, we know it's a globe. So they come in thinking that we're idiotic and we must be wrong. And then they can't prove their globe. And they don't know how to handle it. So they try and rumpus, try and get smart, try and be dishonest. But the main problem is they're coming in pre-assuming that we know it's a globe. And then when it comes to proving that globe, they're claiming that they supposedly know about, or we, whoever we are, it must be the whole body of science, these idiots think. And then they can't prove it. They have nothing. Nothing.
Yeah,
that's what they want. Relative verticals. Sorry, go on.
I'm just saying that, yeah, they've got nothing, but they've got horizontal lines, tangent lines, and elevation angles. That's all they've got for the globe, which is actually a flat Earth measurement. That's it.
Well, that's the truth, you see. That's the problem they have now, isn't it? It's
even then, that doesn't work. I mean, that'll acquire an angle off a baseline that hasn't got GPs on it, but it still doesn't function for the reason I gave. It doesn't have GPs on it, so they've still got to functionally move it into hell at the equatorial/extended celestial plane to get it to actually work with ground positions. So it still doesn't work on a ball, even if you're getting angles to a sphere with tangency. You've still got to put it in the ball to get it to actually work.
Yeah, once you measure the distance horizontally between the observer and the GP point of the celestial body, you then move that horizontal measurement down to the center of their globe. And when you do that, mathematically, it gives them a calculated arc length distance. Who cares? We don't need any of that. We just got the actual measurement on the surface of a horizontal plane. We don't need their globe for anything. It's unnecessary.
Yeah. I used to say redundant, but it isn't, because redundant would imply that it's got some secondary function if the first function fails. No, it's utterly surplus to requirement when taking the angle measurement on screen with a GP 90 degree to your position. That's what an elevation angle measurement is. That's what develops our latitude system. That's what gets stretched around a ball. These angle measurements off a flat Earth.
Exactly. It all starts with a flat plane for everything they do, and it ends up with a flat plane. You know, with them, they have to always end up with a flat plane. Start and end up with a flat plane. They mathematically place a globe or a circle or whatever in between. You know what I mean? In between, in the middle of the process. But everything they do, like what? Give me globe evidence. What's their globe evidence? Can anyone come up with anything?
Well, we know what it is. We know the full origins. Take an angle measurement to Polaris, put that angle measurement inside a dome-based system with the stars projected out from the two parallel planes you measured them from, Polaris-centric. Then you do the same for the south and infer that there's a similar point in the south that the stars rotate about to give you a south-centric system. You then sandwich those two antipodal systems of a flat Earth with a perspective view, antipodally one on top of the other. So two flat planes, one upside down from the other. From there, you can apply Haversine and can convert those points in the sky to be points with respect to a radial value derived from the minimum elevation angle of Polaris. With that, you can project 2 points, one on the celestial sphere from the plane, one on an inferred globe from the plane, with you standing to measure the angles through it from hell. Then you've got a globe wrapped around the equatorial plane with an extended plane moving out from it, with the two antipodal systems now inferred to be a globe-shaped system. That's what we call the globe burger. That's how they actually do it. That's their actual evidence and basis for their globe belief.
Well, what they do is you know the Russian dolls where you have the big one and then there's a smaller one inside and a smaller one inside of that. Well, they have just a very basic version of that. They have the celestial dome and they just place a hemisphere in between you and that celestial dome, which is only mathematical, by the way. There is no celestial dome. But just so, you know, their globe is also only mathematical. That's why they place it there. There's no dome sky. That's just a way of depicting, you know, the perspective in orthographic, you know, for what a star appears to do or whatever. From your 90 down to your 0. There isn't actually a celestial dome. But they still try and place a hemisphere in between you and the observer orthographically, and that celestial dome on a piece of paper or a diagram. That's their proof.
Yeah.
Or
they need a flat
you
Earth
could
more
go
than we do.
hang on, sorry. You could go to Jesse Kozlowski and Larry Scott, the two surveyors, who said they measured divergent zeniths while sharing the same horizontal plane. They had a shared horizontal.
Oh, let me get
and
it
they
straight.
measured two diverging verticals.
They described the amount of divergence with respect to the plane that they shared, correct?
Yeah, they started off with two verticals, and then they used a radius for a globe that's smaller than their actual globe. Adam will go through it with you. We have to go through it someday. But their diverging zeniths were coming from a shared horizontal.
I love it. Well, that's the problem, isn't it? You can't describe divergence, regardless if you're claiming it's divergent zeniths, which is a nonsense in and of itself. But if you're going to claim them, you've got to describe either the divergence or the deviation from the horizontal or the vertical in the first instance. Now, when you're describing Earth curvature, the same principle applies. To describe Earth curve, it's a deviation from the horizontal plane of reference. That means you must have a horizontal plane of reference to describe it deviating from. Earth curve requires a plane to describe it from.
Absolutely.
This is exactly what that guy told Terrace Howard on that show on Joe Rogan the other day, when he said like everything in known existence curves somehow, but then he doesn't understand that you need the linear to describe how things deviate from that.
Exactly. Now, typically I wouldn't take recommendations for videos from the chat, but when it's Paula, it's a different story. I know how well she vets things. So from the chat, thank you very much, Paula, or Bible U. Subscribe today. She does have a YouTube channel. She produces a lot of content, so check her out. She's in the chat. I'm sure she'll spam a link to her own channel, so you can check out hers. But she has recommended this that came out a couple of days ago. Now, we actually covered Level Earth Observer on this exact same subject about 2 weeks ago, so I can only assume this is different to what we've already covered. But I'll do again what I did 10 minutes ago when I thought we were going to start covering this, which is to say, send him a nice message. It's nice to be doing a friendly. Been a couple recently, Eric DeBay and now this guy again, which is great. It's nice to be sending people to people on our own side with positive, genuine comments where I can encourage you to legitimately subscribe to this person and leave him a like, as I will do now. Also, leave him a comment. It helps him in the YouTube algorithm. This is obviously a hot topic at the moment. This video's had almost 3,000 views from a 13,000 subscriber-based channel. So this is a really good video in terms of its pickup. So yeah, definitely help it along in the algorithm. Leave it more comments. Leave it some replies to other comments. I've dragged out this call to action so that people who are in the live stream chat right now actually do this right now. And there's well over 100 people watching, 107. So please toddle along to Level Earth Observer's video and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. The video we're going to be covering is The Final Experiment Just Lost All Credibility. And as I say, this was recommended by Bible U from the YouTube live stream chat. So, without further ado...
Can I just say something about Level Earth Observer? He's a tower crane operator. And that's when he got into this, what absolutely changed his mind completely is that there's no way he could use that tower crane on a rotating globe. It would be impossible. He said, and the tower cranes that are close to him or on other construction sites must be parallel to his tower crane.
Is that the contents of this video? Because I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, I'm just saying Level Earth Observer. That's who he is. He's a tower crane operator. I said that at the very start.
I didn't know. I didn't understand that right. So you're giving a bit of background to the videographer. Oh, cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, he said there's no way he could operate a tower crane on a rotating globe. It requires a stationary plane.
Very cool. Nice to get some backstory.
Final Experiment has just lost all credibility. I hear you. Most of you are shouting out, it didn't have any credibility in the first place.
It didn't have any credibility in the first place. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Admittedly, citing an observation as an experiment isn't going to do your credibility any good, was it?
Bob on. Absolutely spot on. Right. If we see this... Yeah, go.
I just said I like this guy already.
Yeah, Level Earth Observer is great.
Whatsoever, particularly the angle Will Duffy was going. But what I'm about to show you now...
Angle? Was that some reference to the angle above the horizon? Maybe not.
Yeah, isn't too great, to put it mildly. Bear with me. I'm quickly over at Will's channel, The Final Experiment. I just wanted to show you the very first video he made, The Final Experiment of A History, Part 1 of 6. The very first video he made was 4 months ago, just over 4 months ago, okay? So we've got that as a timeline. Okay.
Just for my audience's benefit, you did actually go to his video and leave him a comment and like and subscribe. I hope you did actually follow that call to action. I know people will listen to things like this and go, well, I'm a viewer. I'm just going to view. No, go and subscribe to him. What are you doing?
Okay, so I'm over at the Concho Valley website. The Concho Valley is a local news and weather channel, I believe. This is the headline that caught my eye. Important notice to customers of William Duffy / WD Wealth Strategies. Now, this is from 5 weeks ago, approximately, May the 22nd, 2024. Remember, Will's channel was started up over 4 months ago. So this...
I'm absolutely intrigued. Does anybody know where this is going?
No, I don't know. I have not a clue.
Okay.
Yes, I heard it.
Say again?
Yeah, I heard it last night.
Okay. So you know where this is going. Let's see.
This has come about since Will started up his Final Experiment, and this has come to light literally the last 5 weeks. where this important notice has been put out, where we've got this insurance, I believe it's, we've got an investment loss attorneys asking for customers of Will Duffy to come forward, as they're obviously doing an investigation. National Investment Loss and Securities Attorneys Clayman Tosks is investigating Emerson Equity and financial advisor William Duffy after his recommendations of GWG bonds and other alternative investments caused.
Does this actually have any relevance? This is starting to look a bit like, okay, how does this bear any relevance on what he's doing? Hope he connects this together.
The family to suffer up to $1 million in damage.
Go on, Brian.
Just saying that it seems to be a situation where he's showing that Will Duffy has some questionable business dealings. It's more of a character assassination.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't end like this. I hope this gets directly connected to his claims in the regard that we deal with, because I couldn't care less about this personally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, character assassination doesn't matter. Sorry, okay, computer.
Yeah, no, it has no bearing. It's just, yeah, slagging him off because he's got money problems.
I don't know if this is relevant to us. We'll carry on. Hopefully he does connect it. We'll see.
Damages. The law firm urges all current and former customers of William Duffy and Emerson Equity who suffered investment losses with these bonds or any other investment to contact the firm immediately. It's not looking good, is it, Will? Your global theory is impossible.
It's completely non sequitur. Oh, what a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, am I surprised that Will Duffy has some questionable business dealings? No, absolutely not. Not from his demeanour. He instantly struck me as someone who would. But that doesn't, like, maybe the implication is that he's going to try to rip people off of money with this whole thing, or the fact that he's a con man in this way, or possibly, I can't say he's a con man legally, but the fact that he's being investigated this way means that he's not trustworthy in another way. Fair enough, I would say that. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to go and bring people with him to whatever Antarctica is to try and see whatever they're looking to see. One doesn't follow the other.
Yeah, it's non sequitur. It makes no difference to his claim using and affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy when he goes to Antarctica, because there's a speculative claim that we'll see an observation of a 24-hour above the horizon sun in the Antarctic summer. Well, if P, Earth, the sphere, then Q, 24-hour sun above the horizon, we went down, and Q, 24-hour sun above the horizon, according to them, therefore Earth, a sphere. That's the actual fallacy that's being employed. Now, that's the argument. His argument is that if he sees this observation, it'll affirm the consequent. No, it won't. It's a fallacy. The one is non sequitur to the other in the fallacy. One doesn't necessarily follow the other. It doesn't follow that if we observe a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, that is indicative of a sphere Earth. They say, if we assume that when we travel south we are antipodal from our original position, therefore the observation of a 24-hour sun affirms our antipodal assumption of a sphere. That's how they phrase it to make themselves believe that this is proving sphericity. It doesn't. If it did, the 24-hour sun, prove a globe, then you just go to the north, because there's easily attainable documented proof that that occurs. I've got some of it. It's really easy to get, because it really does happen. Therefore, lots of people see it happening. Now, why aren't we using the north sun above the horizon in a 24-hour period? That is to say, midnight sun, when it's supposed to be dark, nighttime. We've still got the sun up. Why don't we use the north? Well, because we haven't got the insertion of assuming that we're antipodal on a globe when we observe it. So we've got to go south so we can assume we're upside down from where we began. Then when we see the 24-hour sun, we affirm our assumption of antipodal positioning, of course. Now, if the guy who says that is a convicted fraudster and spent 20 years in jail, came out and then took up this particular line of work, would it be in any way relatable? This guy just got out of jail and now he says, if P then Q, Q therefore P. The jail bit's irrelevant. Doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not suggesting this guy's been to jail for anyone who's about to sue me. I'm not suggesting that. but by comparison, that's more extreme. It wouldn't matter if he'd served time for something in the past that had been shown to be absolutely fraudulent. Who cares? His claim is that we see 24-hour sun with an antipodal assumption. That's it. That's all we've got to deal with. There might be a connection.
Can I just say...
There is a bit more to this video. We're only 2/3 of the way through, by the way. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, can I just say that flat earthers are in danger of doing to the ballers what the ballers do to them, which is character assassinate them. All that should matter is actual evidence. Now, would I put my money in the hands of this Will Duffy guy? I personally wouldn't, but that's not financial advice. That's you make your own choices on that. But whether he did or didn't do business correctly in other ways or with other people has no bearing on whether he's going to show us a 24-hour sun or not. That's all I'm interested in. He's claiming that he's going to show us this thing and it's going to prove a globe. Well, I want to see him first show it, then I want to see him prove a globe with it. That's really all I'm interested in. I'm not going to get caught in the trap of trying to character assassinate him because that's giving the ballers a way out. Why are you giving the ballers a way out?
Right.
Character assassinating him is not going to work. That's what they did to us. Leave them do that. We'll stick with facts and evidence.
I mean, there are occasional examples where there are certain individuals on our opposing side who will do nothing but character assassinate us. And every so often, there's an opportunity for us to have a little jab back when they do something wrong in the moment, present tense. Now he's saying this is that moment. It's like, has this guy been attacking your credibility? Has he been appealing to how illegitimate you are in this regard? I doubt it. You know, all I've seen of this Will Duffy guy is what we've covered when we covered him before he was doing this, which I was unaware of till QE pointed it out. We'd already actually covered him once. But that's it. That's our focus. Now, like Brian says, be careful you don't become the monster that you're fighting against. This is what they do. Now, you might turn around and go, well, you called Craig a woman-beating convicted violent criminal. Well, yeah, he is, and he spends most of his time attacking people on our side in terms of their personality, their perceived wrongdoings, invented wrongdoings, you name it. It's all personality. It's all personal attacks. So, yeah, once in a while, yeah, you will get your jab in. But if someone turned around and said, well, that didn't help your argument, I would say, yeah, you're right. Sinking to their level doesn't help our argument. And it doesn't. It's a laugh once in a while when the shoe's on the other foot for somebody who's an arsehole to people in terms of attacking them personally constantly. So in those instances, the argument still stands. Be careful you don't become the monster.
You've cited an observation as an experiment, and now your financial past is coming back to haunt your current future. And as a result, any credibility which anyone may have thought you did have.
I don't even agree with that. I mean, if this guy, I've heard this guy's a millionaire, so he's probably got a whole bunch of businesses running. And if you've got a whole bunch of businesses, there's going to be a good chance that at some point somebody claims that you're doing something you shouldn't be. And you end up in court fighting your position, and you may or may not win. You may or may not end up settling. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on in business. Does that directly affect this guy in his credibility when it comes to a 24-hour sun argument? It has absolutely no bearing on it whatsoever.
Can I just get some clarification?
Yeah.
This supposed final experiment, is that what this is? Is it to look for the 24-hour sun in Antarctica? Is that the observation being claimed as an experiment? Is that what's going on?
I can't confirm or deny. This Will Duffy guy left a comment on one of my videos, and I responded to him asking him for his independent variable, dependent variable, and null for his experiment. And he didn't give me one. He didn't offer any of the above. So I can't confirm or deny.
My stance on it, and I made a video about this, is that using the word experiment is a red herring. It's like a trigger word for flat earthers. Because they know it's not an experiment, number one. But moreover, what this whole thing is an attempt, number one, to take the heat off the ballers because they're under serious heat at present. But number two, they're looking to see something that allows them to then hand wave away the past 10 years of destruction that they've got. That's the problem I have with it, because that's what they're looking to do. They're looking for a reason to hand wave away all the destruction they got at our hands for 10 years. And that's all they're at.
Okay, I've got another one that's been sent from 10th. Is this the same?
Hey,
deal?
hey.
Go ahead.
Hi, everybody.
Good to
Yeah,
have you.
this is. Yeah, good morning. Real quick, I got this across my feed, and this is Will Duffy himself. So I think the one Paula sent I hadn't seen until today, but it is about his credibility. But let's just take him with his own video that he made when trying to represent what he did concerning this whole Antarctica trip.
Now this
of
is more
his.
like it. So this is about specifically him in regards to what he's doing in Antarctica and being caught out credibility-wise in that example explicitly, right?
Yes, it's a very short video, played in full, and basically it falls apart because his defense is so weak that the only thing logically you can ascertain is that he knew exactly what he was doing and he had to lie about the lie. That's the way it seems to me. But go ahead and make your own mind.
Okay, well, I've got to do a bit of a call to action first. So this YouTube videographer is called Robot Polisher. The video is called Pastor Will Duffy. Pastor's in quotes. He is a pastor. Okay, well, it's in quotes. Pastor, in quotes, Will Duffy of the, quote, final experiment, end quote, lies during apology for lying. What a tile. Anyway, before I do press play, I've just posted a link to this videographer. As always is the case, please let this videographer know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Leave him a positive comment. Subscribe. I know this guy's a friendly. I recently subscribed to him. He's got a bit of an affinity with Witsit, and therefore I don't know if that's going to turn out to be a problem, but we'll find out in future. Anyway, he does produce some material for this subject. Definitely worth a sub, I feel. I've subscribed to him, as you can probably see. Can you? Yeah, you can. So yeah, drop him a like, drop him a comment, help him along in the YouTube algorithm by commenting and replying to other people's comments. And hopefully, if you are actually watching live, there's 130 people watching, you will actually do this. That is to say, I'm not just saying it for the sake of it. My call to action is sincere. If you are watching live, do it now. You can see that comment going by in the chat as we speak. So click on it and go and give him a sub. Go and give him some love. Let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And hopefully, were Robot Polisher to make a video response in this regard, he would put a link to our video. As is the hope with every single person we ever do a response video to. But hopefully, with that being said, that's enough time for people to have actually clicked on that link, given him a sub, left him a comment, left him a like, and then toddle their way back here to actually hear what the video's got to say about the subject matter. So, any other further comments about this before I press play from you, 10th, or anybody else? If 10th still here.
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, we'll crack on then. I'll check the levels first. Let's just see if it sounds okay.
This video is a public apology to Sean Griffin. I was on his program being interviewed by him, and
he completely caught me off guard.
And I wasn't expecting this, but he asked me during that interview if I knew who was behind the final experiment.
By the way, I don't want to forget something. You just mentioned you liked science growing up. I noticed you got an invitation to participate in that thing called the final experiment. Are you following that at all?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. I looked at it and I didn't know what it was, so
I put it right out of my mind. He completely caught me off guard.
Yeah, it's super intriguing. They haven't announced exactly what it is, but there's another video.
I see. So when he's making this apology video, which is the original video he opened in the edit with, that's his apology video. And in the apology video, he's suggesting that the person he's talking to about the subject caught him off guard, when in reality, it's Will Duffy that brought the subject up, asking him if he'd received an email. His response was, "Oh yeah, or something. I can't even remember." Oh, he caught you off guard, did he? Bloody liar. Okay, yeah, first good example.
Video they're releasing this Sunday, but you're one of the official invitees, so congratulations on that.
I don't know what that means, so okay. I guess I should say thank you, but I don't know. Are you a part of that?
I do not know who's behind it, so.
Yeah, you're behind it. I mean, a white lie when you're trying to keep something under wraps is almost forgivable. Would the Christians disagree with me?
Yeah, I would disagree because it's a setup. He said, I noticed you had an invitation. How would he notice that?
Yeah, I would say that it's a little bit more than a white lie. When he wasn't outright asked about it by the interviewer, he brought up the subject himself. So this is more character assassination, but
it's a
little bit more direct.
No, this is not character assassination. This is him in his own words. Finish the video and you'll see. He's doing his own character assassination. No one has to do it for him.
Yeah, but we were assisting in that. But it's on topic. I'm not moaning, right? This is specifically about it. So fine.
Look,
I'm
it's very
watching
simple.
and
hang on.
excited to see what happens.
Go ahead.
It's very simple. If you're a Christian and you're a pastor, this is not behavior that matches that calling. That's number one. Number two, somehow he knew that this robot polisher got an invitation. How would he know? I don't know what kind of invitations Brian gets or you get unless it's public. So maybe he saw it somewhere. I don't know. But he knows something about it. Then when asked directly, are you part of it? No. It just reminds me that there's deceit going on here for a reason. I don't know the reason yet. I just know that he has to issue this apology video, which he labels, he caught me off guard. Well, catching me off guard or anyone off guard is acceptable. But not when you're the guy and you know what you're doing. That's not catching you off guard. You did it on purpose. Come on. Go on.
Well, I'm going to do a quick shout out. So Jason Dean says, Robot Polisher is ace. Check him out on Twitter. Thank you for the super chat, Jason Dean. Really appreciate the support. So we've got Bible U because I've presumably been very detrimental, or whatever the word is, to the video that you suggested. And I've gone, oh dear. Right, Paula? Well, Paula figures out how to get herself off mute. I think she's come to defend why that video was shared, because we didn't get to the end of it. It might have been all connected together at the end of the video from Level Earth Observer. Sorry, can't hear. We'll try and fix. No worries.
Told him in the moment that I did not know who was behind the final experiment, which of course was not true.
Yeah, the premiere on YouTube for Sunday says they're going to be revealing the location of the experiment.
Is it an experiment pertaining to, cosmology or something?
Yeah, it's an experiment for flat versus globe.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't be there. I'm sorry to disappoint.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that sentence right there. It's an experiment for flat versus globe. It's just hot garbage.
Yeah, it's the right mess.
Yep.
Come on, Brian.
No, just say, yep, agreeing with chocolate, that's all.
Yeah, it's a hot mess. He's offering up a false dichotomy and labelling it as an experiment. It's a right mess.
Whoever invited me. But thank you for shouting me out.
For sure.
Yeah. Austin debates people all the time, but I don't know who you...
He won't debate my buddy, I'll tell you that.
Is your buddy a good faith?
Oh, definitely.
He's honest?
He's a believer. Yeah, he goes by the name MC Toon on YouTube.
Bro.
A believer.
He's very sharp.
A believer.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's actually going to be debating one of your listeners tonight at my church on Saturday in 2 days.
So this makes much more sense. Okay.
Okay. Is there more to this 10th? Because we're only a third of the way through.
Yeah, finish it. Why not?
I'm just asking.
I've seen the tone.
Well, I mean, look.
And you think that's good faith? You think that's honest, intellectually honest? That's.
I will tell you.
That's between you and God.
I will tell you, flat earthers tell me all the time that he lies, but they've never shown one lie. So I'm still waiting for that first lie.
Prediction gets more.
Problem is, he's got music over it, and I'm suspecting that I'll probably end up getting copyright strike for this. He's got some guitar riff in the background that probably isn't his.
So then take a pause and let's talk about apples and oranges and then continue. I mean, this is not character assassination. This is Will Duffy himself representing what happened, and we have to take his word for it. And it seems like there's this collusion with McToon that is popping up all of a sudden that we weren't told about until I saw this video. I mean, to me, I didn't know McToon was involved in this way where it's his buddy and no one could beat him and et cetera, et cetera. And then there's another video where I think Jared and Whitsitt are saying, do you know this McToon and this other? And he's playing coy. I mean, this is not a behavior of a Christian pastor is all I'm saying. Something's wrong. I don't know what's going on, but something is wrong here.
More and more accurate the closer it gets to the time of the eclipse. So actually, if you paid attention, they changed the path or the locations of the path of the eclipse like 3 or 4 times in the weeks leading up to the eclipse, even in like the mainstream perfect model and all this stuff, right? Because it isn't about the model, it's about the sun and moon. They have a cycle that there's a
What an absolute bastard liar. You pathetic, worthless, idiot, lying sack of garbage. This didn't change. This book didn't change in the weeks leading up to the eclipse, you worthless.
Holding an almanac.
Yeah. Well, no, just for the audience.
I think it's a guide to eclipses when they're predicted by star movements and times and years that the Babylonians knew when the Earth was flat. Remember then?
Yeah, but that's where all eclipse predictions come from. Flat plane, angles, and predictions.
Of course, that's the whole point. That's it's plain. It's plain in the book, pun intended.
Yes, but what he's doing there is he's holding up this book, trying to say, what he's trying to do is hijack the validity of the book. That's what he's trying to do there. Instead of actually admitting that for their globe, for the eclipse, they had to change things around several times before it actually happened because they couldn't make it work. You know, they kept on having to change it.
He's got the article.
NASA has to come out officially and change before the eclipse happened. Come on.
He's got the newspaper or magazine article superimposed on the video saying that they did it. They had to change, but McToon is saying they didn't have to change.
I'd just like to add something here for a second. Yeah, first of all, when I posted that link, I didn't intend for it to be reviewed. I guess I should have made that clear. It's just I do think character matters. I think it's a big deal. I think we shouldn't be gullible about when people make these challenges, and we have to consider their character. And if character is showed, if it's bad financing or whatever else he's done, lying and then re-lying, it's all the same thing. It's all bad character, people we shouldn't trust, just like we don't trust NASA. We look at the things NASA says and does and says we shouldn't trust them. That's all I was trying to do with this guy is say a heads up to anybody who might be looking into it. Yeah, we do go talk about and focus on the technical things, but that's not all the world is composed of, and we do have to consider the source. And that's all my intention was. I sometimes I feel so out of touch with everybody else because I'm thinking one thing when I post it and seeing an important thing I think other people need to know about, and nobody else thinks it's important. So that's all that was about.
No, fair enough. I'm still glad we covered it.
I would agree, Paula, that character is important, and somebody's character is very important, especially if people are investing money into that person. That person is a bit questionable. But my point was that flat earthers, I'm noticing with this situation, because I'm noticing a lot of videos turn up where this guy Duffy has been shown to be dishonest, he's been shown to be questionable financially and different things like that. Yeah, that's all fine, and that should be known. But the problem is that we end up character assassinating Will Duffy. Not saying he doesn't deserve it, but he ends up being character assassinated, which is the whole ethos of what the Globers do to us. That's all they've ever had over us, and that's all they ever do. I don't think it's a good look.
Go on. Yeah, I'm just saying that there's a lot of inconsistency in when we say something is character assassination and when we say it's a valid point that needs to be made and people need to be aware of. It's not like I've gone around saying bad things about Duffy. And there's plenty of people in the Flat Earth community who've gone around saying bad things about me, and nobody said they were character assassinating. So, like I said, I don't understand. I don't seem to have the same meanings of words that everybody else does, which is pretty much why I don't come on often.
Let me comment, please. I did not post this video to character assassin Duffy. I posted it because somebody videotaped this conversation, and it's Duffy who did the response video. I just want people to see what's happening, and they can make up their own minds. I don't know Will Duffy. When I first saw it, I go, well, that's inconsistent. I thought he was neutral and he just wanted to find out if the Earth was flat or a ball, and he was going to do the affirming the consequent, obviously, with the sun 24 hours in the south, and just that surface stuff. But then this stuff starts coming out. You say, wait a minute, this is a bit more intriguing because it sounds like this goes deeper, and he's pally-pally with McToon, it sounds like. So it's like, let the audience decide. It's not character assassination from my point of view. It's his own words. You can decide what's going on.
I did not realize that that was your friend. That is hilarious. Seen him in action, brother, and he is. I'll leave it. That's fine. Okay. Is McToon a Christian? He believes the Bible's the inspired word of God?
Absolutely. I love the name. Adrenochrome Slurper says, sitting here slurping adrenochrome smoothie. Ooh, that sounds yummy. Cheers,
Wow.
MT2, and congrats on 10,000 sheeple.
Wow. Yeah.
There are no
You're
reason.
one hell of a herder.
Okay, interesting.
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
Okay, I think that's pretty much the sum total of it. Hopefully that doesn't get this live stream flagged. Any more comments on this?
I'll be honest with you. I think that they were already taken apart by Flat Earth Banjo, because he used Robert Shortman's testimony and video from Antarctica on the 31st of December and on the 21st of December and the 21st of June. And he showed on the 21st of December the sun, or not the sun, but light from the sun being off in the distance, and behind the person, complete darkness. I mean, dark, right? Pitch darkness. And this guy was shown that this is Antarctica on the 21st of December. Then he compared what Robert Shortman showed described and compared what the videos showed, and he showed what, for someone standing in Antarctica, what they would see concerning the sun on both those different dates. And he showed it as two diagrams, one above the other. It was perfect. I mean, I'm only interested in, okay, go there then and get this 24-hour sun. That's really all I'm interested in, to be quite honest with you.
Can I give a better argument for us to consider? And this is Bible, you and I discussed this, is the analemma, the sun's path north of the equator and the sun's path south of the equator. Now, Neil deGrasse Tyson and others say the Earth is an oblate spheroid, and when you look into it, it's the fatness at the bottom is about 32 miles, I believe. It's not much. Maybe Earth needs to go on a little diet, but not a big diet. But if you look at the claim, since the sun does only go 23.4 degrees north and south of the equator, you need to be symmetrical, but it's asymmetrical in the south. It takes a wider arc over the same 6 months, minus the 2 times on the equinoxes, and the same 6 months above the equator for the north. That is not symmetrical with a semicircle at the bottom and a semicircle at the top. Something's going on in the sky that tells you the sun isn't doing the same thing south of the equator as it does north of the equator. Now, that to me is intriguing more than anything else, if you see where I'm going with it.
I brought up that very point when I detailed the analemma back in 2016 or 17 on Ranty's, I think it was his first or second show. And when I did my presentation on it, that was one of my main points, that the sun is shown through the analemma to have a completely different, bigger or wider path and a lower, and a path that seemed, as you could say, seemed to be closer to the surface of Earth during the southern summer than in the northern summer. What I would say is when they come up with this oblate spheroid thing, that's actually what he said was wrong. Well, the grass Tyson, it's actually at their equator, and it's not geometric. It's purely based off the pre-assumption that they're on that the globe Earth is a perfect geometric sphere that has widened at the equator because they pre-assume that they're rotating, so centrifugal force will cause it to do that.
Right, exactly. But the verbiage is there, but the sun's path doesn't match two semicircles identically, so it's asymmetrical in the south. And like you said, it takes a wider path. Interesting, that's the same 6 months on both ends, north and south, and it's the same 24-hour day, 15 degrees an hour. Go figure.
I mean, are you saying that the globe is not pear-shaped? Shouldn't I take the word of an astrophysicist?
No, it's
pear-shaped.
if you imagine what they're actually extracting, right? I mean, it's a bit of a tell in terms of suggestion that you've got a greater amount of land in the Southern Territories, which would make sense, but that would be speculation on my part also to suggest that it's a hint at that. So I've dropped it in, but I won't affirm it. Meanwhile, what do they actually measure? Well, they measure the angles to the stars. What do we observe them do as they reach the horizon? Slow down. Okay, so what would that translate to if you were to convert it into a perspective view dome-shaped model? You'd end up with a chubbier equator. So in other words, it directly translates to the observations that we take off the stars. That's all it is. That's all it does. When they infer that your globe's got a certain aspect to it, in this case a chubbier central part or slightly bigger on the bottom, pear-shaped as Tyson describes, that's as a consequence of how they've measured the stars. When you describe the widening of the analemma, this is the same principle. Now, the only thing I don't like about that, gentlemen, is that you are inviting a false dichotomy by doing so. I just wanted to drop that in there.
Not doing that. Let me take it to the next level of the statement. I just wanted to get that out first. All of the reference frames are 180-degree straight-angle planes. The rational horizon is the Earth cut in half, which would make, in their model, a huge disk that's flat. It meets up with the celestial equator as one large disk. And any stars underneath this imaginary disk cannot be seen. Only stars that are above it from 0 degrees to 90 back to 180. That's it. Okay, that's their model. That's what they show. And then they say, we're going to draw a tangent plane on top of a circle that represents this same globe. And that's got to be an infinite, unbounded tangent plane touching this circle at one point of tangency. Then they say, in an airplane, you can't use the horizon because the clouds and so forth. So we're going to use another device that will give you the same reference. We'll use a bubble sextant. So it creates a horizontal, which is infinite in the air, 30,000 feet or whatever the plane is at, which gives you your vertical because you already got a horizontal. So there's your perpendicular. So all three of those reference frames are flat, and you get a vertical to make it perpendicular. This is all in their books. This is how they do it. So when they say, when you see that analemma doing that wider arc, the reference frame for that is the equatorial plane. That's their verbiage.
Any more for any more?
No.
I got more. Once you use a tangent plane that's infinite and unbounded 180 straight angle, you can't take the measurement from that and apply it to something that's curving. So what they do is say the tangent plane on the Earth's surface, represented by the circle to be a globe, which we know it isn't, is a local flat plane. But the one at the equatorial is not local, it's the full distance of the circumference. It's a great circle. And the one in the air goes for infinite. Well, what if you're 12 feet above the sea level when you take your angle measurement on this so-called local level, the horizon? It's about 4.5 miles away, and then Earth curve is supposed to start. This is before height of eye correction and all this kind of stuff. Okay. So the whole point is, when your eyes are on the water, there is no height of eye correction because you're on the plane that goes until the GP of the star. And usually, if something is 4.5 miles away, you don't need to pull out your sextant, you see it. So you're sighting stars, and their 90-degree ground position beyond the 4.5 mile visual local flat that the tangent plane, they like to admit, is, but they're not going beyond it. And if the star is beyond it, it's got to reside on that same plane. The globe burger is never used. The argument is so deadly to the globe, it's amazing.
Right.
Ruhif told me, and the rest of the board has told me when I made a video about it, said, what is the maximum size of a tangent plane? And Ruhif fled out with, it can be infinite. And they all agreed. So
they need a flat plane more than we do.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate before we round out this live stream a couple of things. I'll do a little call to action first. So there's been like 150 people watching at various points of the show, which is fantastic. Please share the show if you've not done so already. That's probably the only reason we've got up to 250 people watching, is because people smash that share button. So if you've just joined, very warm welcome, of course, but please share the show. Smash that share button. It's only a couple of clicks. You can stick it on your favourite social media outlet, Bebo, MySpace, whatever you like. You can stick it on it and share the show with others. It's been a good show. But I want to reiterate the fallacy that's being employed when we, quote unquote, do the final experiment. Now, I'm not going to include the suppositional statement as a question, which is how this has been posed. If we see this, is how this has been put to the people who are taking part. If we see a 24-hour sun. Now, it should be immediately and glaringly obvious if we did have one. But nevertheless, I'm going to take it as read that we do, so I can more easily formulate it into the affirming the consequent fallacy that they are employing. The same as was employed with Netflix, I might add. Hello, QE. So the fallacy is as follows. If we have a rotating sphere Earth, and I assume travelling south will leave me antipodal on said assumed sphere, then, when I arrive on my antipodal assumption south, we will observe a 24-hour sun in the summer of Antarctica. We got there, and we did observe a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Therefore, my antipodal assumption of being on the bottom of a ball when travelling south is true. If P, antipodal assumption, then Q, 24-hour sun above the horizon, Q, 24-hour sun above the horizon, therefore P, my antipodal ball Earth assumption. That's how this actually breaks down. It certainly isn't an experiment. It's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. Any more for any more?
Yeah, one more. If you're going to use a reference frame and it's infinite, 180-degree straight angle, unbounded, and then later take the findings and measurements from that reference frame and try to apply it to another reference frame that's not exactly the same. You will have so many inaccuracies in what you're attempting to do. That's why all three, whether it's the bubble sextant in the air, must have a 180 infinite unbounded plane to get the 90. The perpendicular relationship must match the equatorial plane, the center of Earth, which doesn't exist, but they say it does. And then last but not least, you can't use the globe surface because it's curving. So we're going to have to do a tangent plane that matches those other two in exact proportions, which means everything you find must be on a 180 straight angle because you can't take it to another reference frame and get the same results.
With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to all of you who liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Obviously, Level Earth Observer, and what was the other guy now? Robot Polisher? No, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Be sure to share the show if you haven't done so already, and I will see you all in the next video.